Hello students, today we learn one more chapter that is software concepts. So already I've told about the hardware, software and users and also the data. So how computer works we have discussed. Let us learn about in this chapter we are going to learn the different types of softwares and also like system software, application software, and also we are discussing the operating system, language translators, and utilities. All we are going to learn in this chapter. So let us we start with the introduction. Let us we learn. The computer system has three components. So mainly we have hardware. I think everybody is familiar. So we have a hardware. Then we have a software. I think you are also familiar. And then, of course, so these two works for these users along with the data you have to support. You have to support, you have to provide data. So with the help of data, with the help of software and using hardware, the user can get what he wants from this computer, that is hardware and software combination. So what is hardware? Hardware consisting of physical device. Already we have discussed the hardware components. Any physical device in a computer systems are called hardwares and their interconnection for the purpose of storing. And so there are many hardware, many physical devices, they are interconnected. You might have seen many electrical and electronic components put together for the purpose of why do we put together means why we interconnect them, because we want to store them. Sometimes electronic devices, some device, electrical device, we have to execute the program. So that's why we interconnect them. So pictorially you can see how the computer system can be viewed. So we have a computer system and it's mainly we have three parts. You can think hardware, the software, of course we have a users along with the data to be processed. So now computer software, or is it just a software? What does software means? Already you know what is the definition of software. So it's a collection of computer programs and related data. Of course the data should be along with the software that provides the instruction for. So this set of programs provides the instructions for instructing the computer what to do, how to do it. So that's nothing but set of instruction, how you do, how computer must do and what it should do. So software refers to one or more computer programs. So there need not be only one program, need not be one instructions. It is a set of thousands of instructions and that is used to perform any operation required by the user. That's why what to do and how it should do. All this has to be given by the user only. That's why the software computer cannot does by any task by itself. Everything that is in terms of programs, computer programs we have, that's programs also written by the user only. We have a software program developers, so those develop the programs. According, they also tell what are the things, what are the operation these computer can perform in the future. So depending on what data they'll accept, according to these instructions, they perform on the data and produce the result. And data, finally, data is held on the storage of the computer. That's a memory devices like hard disk, where finally the result is kept on the memory devices. That's we call storage of the computer. So this is just a view. That's how computer performs with the help of software, with the help of hardware. Along with the data we provided, computer can perform its task and finally the result is also stored in the computer storage devices. So whenever we want, so we can get that data and it will be, we have a different output devices. All these things we are going to discuss in this. What are the different programs we are going to write? What is the operating system? Why do we need operating system? So that is what we are going to learn in this chapter. So let us take an example. They have taken an example of how the computer performs. Like already I told, computers are used to imitate humans. Suppose what I am doing, so the same thing I have to be done by the machines. So if there is some clerical post, a clerical person is working means, so there we have to replace by machines means, so what are the clerical work is doing with bank transaction has to be replaced by the exactly similar way the computer has to perform. That indirectly it imitates humans. So that is like assisting humans. So what you do must be explained to it, or you have to tell the instruction this is how you do it. Since they are machines, they do accurately, quickly, fastly, there are reliable, there's certain things we have an electronic devices like compared to humans. So let us think of how human brain functions, how human works, how human brain is functioning. So how human brain works means normally we have a brain consisting of neurons. So these neurons helps in storing any type of informations, whether you are reading or whether you are playing games or you are remembering something, any familiar people or places or whatever you do, what something memory in your brain means, that's a chain of neurons. So whenever we see some object, so what it does means it forms a chain. So when you suppose you see today something, like take an example, a face of some person, and one time when you see that person, so that neurons chain will be formed inside. On the brain, you do not get the photo of the person who is in front of you, but what will be there inside the brain means there will be a chain of neurons. So neurons are interconnected and one form is chain. So whenever you want to recollect means, so we have to traverse through this chain. That is, we have to, the chain is reformed, like retraced. So when you retrace and you are exactly remembering this person. That's why when you see a person one time and you do not see for a long period of time, maybe a week, maybe a month, maybe 2-3 months. So again you meet and you try to form a chain means, so then it becomes very difficult because those neurons or the link has been, they lose the link because every time, so that's why whenever we see an object, again you read, again see the same person you see 3 times or 4 times in a day, and you will never forget him for another 1 year or 2 years. If you don't see for once you see and you do not see for 1 month, and that person is very difficult because this chain and neurons chain will automatically reducing day by day, they will becoming loose if you do not refresh. If you do not again you see means the chain neurons become strong. So that is a logic how we remember. That's why we ask you people to read again and again. Today you have studied something, tomorrow again you read means you will never forget. That is why we want you to read again and again, once in a week, and again you read after 1 month, again you read all these things what we read for 1 month. So then you will never forget whatever you have studied. So that's a one way of, it's technically way of, that's why they give a punishment of write 3 times, write 2 times. When you write the same thing again and again, you will never forget. Exactly similar, that is how brain neurons works. So in similar way, the computer we want to develop. So there is a pattern matching, there is a artificial intelligence, that is a different field. That's image processing that we'll be discussing in the, when you go for IS studies. So that is, let us learn something about. And neurons are interconnected. As I told, there is a form chain interconnected with each other whenever we see an object. So we can say our brain is massively parallel processing. So that is, it is not there's a 1 processor, 2 processor. It's a massively parallel processor. The process of recalling a face, a particular person face, which person may not be seen since last 30 years. Definitely it is going to be very complex and requiring a lot of comparison among the similar faces. That's not so easy because you have not seen some person 30 years means I don't think so you are going to recognize him. It becomes very difficult. If you have, like maybe you know your school, the way you know, because you have visited many times and the chain never broken, that interconnection will never be broken even when you become a age of 100 years. Then also you will tell my school is like this is the way, all exactly. But when you see some person in the school where 1 or 2 days you met him, after that you do not see means within a 6 months or 1 year, 2 years you will forget them because that chain interconnection is lost. So that is why it becomes very complex. That's why it has to be parallel, comparing many faces. That's why people say, I've seen somewhere something. So that is because that pattern is trying to match. Oh, it's closer by. Then when they ask additional things, then you may get exactly this is the person. So interestingly, our brain can store up approximately, its capacity of brain may not be 2 power 44 bits of data. That's a massive where you cannot, normally you cannot use TB, more than TB it is, not terabytes. 244 is a huge amount of bits, that's also bits. Such amount of data a human brain can store. But we do not have a memory device or storage device that stores equivalent to human brain. So we don't have. So anyway, that's something about the introduction to the computers. Let us learn what is software. Already we have told about the software. So software is a set of programs. You can say it's a set of it's a programs or procedures sometimes. Same, they are the one and the same. That's using procedures like functions, algorithms, and there are documents, concerned with the operation of data processing system. You can define in many ways. Normally what happens in the software is set of programs. So there is some procedure how to use these programs. And also there is algorithms. Using these algorithms we wrote programs. Maybe next chapters we will be studying about the concept of software development we will be discussing. And also documents like technical document and user documents is also concerned with. That's why documents are concerned with the operation of data processing system, how exactly it works. So what are the technical way of dealing with this, and what are the non-technical, how only users can operate, or technical person. So that's we have a documents. Generally software is a set of programs. You think it's a many thousands of programs put together to perform the many operations required by the user. As a software, it is not for one instructions or one set of instruction. It is a collection of many programs. That's a set of programs. So using these programs, the computer can perform any operation. What is a computer means? It is nothing but a softwares. If you want to use computer for any operation means, you must develop a software. There is no restriction. So you cannot, can I use this computer in some other place? Agriculture, I have to use the computers? Yes, of course you use, but you develop programs. What you has to be done by computers, you instruct, you tell the computers, and it can perform. That is the only thing, only instructions that should be with the mathematical models, and also if it is a mechanical devices are involved, so that additional things, mechanical parts has to be connected, and computer can does what is required. So that's why that is what computer means. Computer has nothing intelligence of its own. It never does any task, but it does every task if you give the instruction to it and provided what is necessary for the computer. So that is what computer. That's the basic things you must understand. So there are different types of softwares normally. So one is called we have a system software. I think the word itself says system software. Other is application software. So what does the system software means? Already we come across. So whenever the most commonly given example of system software means we say operating system. So not only operating system, we have other than operating system, we have many system softwares. We'll learn all those things. Normally system software means the system software are used to manage the system itself. Maybe when an operating system, when you switch on the system, see your computer is ready and you can use, it's like some common task and whatever some input output operations and allocating the memory, how your data has to be stored, where it has to be kept, if there are many users, and how to differentiate, how to secure the files, and how user name and login you have to log in. So there are so many things associated. When take only operating system, but along with the operating system, language converter is there, language translators, there are many things associated. That is what the system software. So what is system software means? It makes the user convenient for using the computer system efficiently. So that is the main object, that's the main purpose of system software. Let us learn about what is system software. The main object of system software is to perform the functions commonly required by the most of the user, most efficiently. That is what we have to. So efficiently perform. So we have to perform efficiently the functions commonly required by the most of the users. So normally input operation or output something, these are all commonly performed. So like open, login, there are many things commonly required. So for that we have to develop. So that is the main object. In order to do this, in order to achieve this object, so these programs are generally written machine level language. So machine level instructions or machine level language. So why means for addressing various registers. Why have to be in machine level language? Means there are registers, memory, central CPU, all hardware components. They work within the form of zeros and ones. So thus systems software is a machine dependent, mainly thing. So it's not portable. That's what system softwares are. System software means, so the system software is nothing but the set of programs, and they are used to make the computer operation for the user more conveniently and efficiently without bothering about internal details, how computer works inside, what is happening. No, just you concentrate what you wanted to do, just you do. It provides a platform where computer user can use the computer more efficiently. So to do this, so background, how you have front end, so you can see the background, there is something is working. That is what system software. Like at home, you might have seen. So you go on dining table, so everything is prepared, and breakfast, roti or something will coming on your table. So who does look at the background? Your mother is doing. So like mother is a system software. She prepares everything, and whatever necessary is in the kitchen, that's hardware and all mixes, and something she prepares and put it on you. So you are the user, just you taste and you enjoy the food. exactly similar way, the system software makes everything what you want, and it is ready to use it. So that is what done by the system software. I think you got an idea of. So the main objective of the system software is to efficiently perform the functions, so normally required by the most of the user. So in order to achieve this objective, so the programs are normally generally written in machine instructions, because in machine instruction means it's in zeros and ones. So there are many registers and many in electronic components like hardware components, like in central processing unit we have adders, there is arithmetical, logical and control. So now to deal with this, so we use in the what we call machine level language. Thus, because of this, system softwares are machine dependent. So if you are using machine means hardware dependent and not portable. So if you written some machine code for a particular hardware or particular computer means the same hardware or the same instructions may not be worked with other computers, because the manufacturing, the hardware is going to be different. That's why it's machine dependent, hardware dependent, and they are not portable. The system softwares are not portable. So input output operation are generally performed by system software, like whatever input output operations we perform, that's of course operating system software. And system software provides a convenient environment for the program development and execution. So not only for input output operation, it also provides a convenient environment for program development and execution. So there you can develop your own programs, and also you can execute those things to do all these things. So this system software provides an environment. Like you think of kitchen, so that's everything is provided. So just what you want to develop, what you want to prepare, what type of food you make, yes, you make it. But what is the job means preparing that kitchen setup, so and providing all necessary things is the job of system software. I'm giving some food example which you are very familiar with. So programming languages, like how this is done, how you develop the system software means programming languages like assembly level language like C, C++, Visual C, we have many things, C++, Pascal or Java. So all are used for developing this system softwares. So what is a system software? More generally you can define system software as a collection of system programs, many programs to perform the common tasks needed by the users. That's also you can define, many way of defining. So the system softwares are machine dependent and also non-portable. That's the language we are using, machine instructions. So we're talking about machine instruction, and they are machine dependent. So if you are develop an operating system for some system, example using some hardware components, they are hardware dependent. So that you replace some other hardware and it may not work. So that's one. And also they cannot take from one computer to other computers. Normally input output operation, that's this operating system. At the end of this chapter, you will understand everything. So it's going to be very interesting, but you have to think parallelly the functioning of computers and your eagerness to understand how it functions. If these two things go according, then you will understand. You have the very interesting concepts associated. So I told about another is application software. So as the name suggests, for my requirements, I may develop many softwares. So as I told, I use computers for setup and bringing the computers, we use the system software. So now what happens, I have to use the system software. Using the system software, maybe I have to develop this computer, because we have seen computers are used in all walks of life. So how computers can using only system software, can we do this? No, of course, you cannot do this. If you want to do this means, then you have to develop a software. For what purpose you are using computers, then you need software for that. I think nowadays you have smartphones. If you want to use something means there is apps, we call exactly application software, apps are nothing but the same. So these application software are specific. You can, there are two types. One is the general purpose, and also we have a specific purpose of application software. That's we are going to discuss later on. So application software consisting of user application packages, that's also programs. We have like a payroll, like where you have to pay the salary for every month for the employees. Depends on the inventory, many places. We use a stock contains how many things, and also financial accounting and packages. That's where we need computers. That's also where we use a scanning, maybe many different places. Wherever we use a computer means that computers works with the software. So that is application. Depending on your requirements, you can develop any type of application software. So there we have normally this application software are written in high level language. these are custom made. So according to the needs, through many application packages, custom needs according to your requirement, you can customize your own requirements, you can develop the software. So most commonly used packages like word processing we use for desktop publishing, word question papers, if you are simple things, or anything where we have deal with the documents, there we use it. And also sometimes in banking we use a database management system. In schools, colleges also sometimes we use a spreadsheet, and also millions of users all over the world being hardware independent, and these are portable. So they are not dependent on hardware. So they can be used anywhere. This application software can be used on any system, but they have minimum requirements. If computer hardware has these requirements, and you can use any type of application softwares, maybe games you also use, they have restricted. We cannot, graphic card is not supporting means that you cannot use. So maybe something, there is a minimum requirements. They are not dependent. So that is something about the application software. Simply application software is the softwares which are written for particular applications or requirements for the users. So there you can write as many as application software you want. So we have a software industries means they does the same task. They develop for banking, they have TCS, or maybe we have Infosys, many Wipros, we have many companies for many tasks, many projects, many requirements. For each project they develop software. They are nothing but application softwares. So example for application software already we discussed, Microsoft Office, OpenOffice, maybe database we are talking about, Oracle, Sybase, Informix, and then Ingress, Database 2, Tally, there are something. So apart from these things, these are all Word, still also we have a new operating systems, new application softwares available. It's going to be, these are the most commonly used. In every computers, we can see these things. That's why they give example. So you can see the system software, operating system, and also you can see the application software, this MS Office. Every computer comes with the Microsoft Office, at least minimum. So this is the softwares. So this is something about applications, application oriented. So then we have a system software is of 3 types. So system softwares can be classified into 3 types. Again, we go further. So previously we have softwares 2 types. One is system software, and there is we have application software. So now getting to system software, we have 3 types. One is operating systems. We'll go in details. We'll learn, and language translators, that also we learn, and there we'll learn all these things, and also we have utilities. That is, we learn something about. So just we get an introduction to operating system, but we go in detail after some classes. We will understanding. We learn different types of operating system, and also more about operating system we'll be learning. So what is an operating system means? It also name suggests operating. So you want to use computer means, so we need some system, some way of providing environment. That's why what's an operating system? I think many of you are familiar. So operating system is a system software which provides an interface between the computer user and the computer hardware. That's the definition. So normally what happens, because there are so many things, hardware, input device, output devices, there are so many components inside computers, computer hardware, and you have to interact with this. So in between the computer hardware and the user, there is a software that makes the hardware component to work properly for you, and it prepares. Like I gave an example of mother, she does everything for you. Exactly, the operating system does everything, just you want to use what is necessary. That's how, don't think parallelly it's exactly like what I'm giving, just try to understand, concept wise I'm telling, so try to understand in that way, and then it becomes, so someone is preparing ready for you, that is something, everything is messy, but make it clean for you, and you just use it, you will enjoy. No, you have breakfast and you throw there only, but what happens, your mother comes and collects the plates and wash it and keeps wherever necessary. Again tomorrow she collect and see how nice your home, at home you can see. And if you are alone, bachelor means see the how there is no operating system means everything is messed up. So you can do not clean, you throw here and there, and there is also all, that is exactly I'm telling you. So maybe physically don't take example like this, but conceptually you try to understand this. What I'm saying is exactly similar. Let us learn about something about operating system. So an operating system is a set of program modules. There is different individual modules which provides a friendly interface. That is what important between the user and the computer resources. So it's a computer hardware resource. We are talking about the hardware, that is processor, memory, and input output devices and information files which are already done. So this is the main purpose of operating system. An operating system is a set of program modules which provides a friendly interface between the computer user and the computer resources. Which resources? Such as processor, memory, input-output devices, and some information, some files which are already existing. So this is something about operating system. So now we can see that, so we can see this is a hardware. So above this we have a software. What is that software? Is a system software. And to link this external word, so this green color is external word, to this you are entering means, like you can see the orange, so this gap is the system software. That's what operating system. We have a pink color, so that operating system makes this hardware and ready for you to use it. Above this we have a application software written by the users. So this is all user area, so where you can interact with. So but this part belongs to the system software, and most of this is done by the operating system. So let us learn something about operating system. So operating system manages these resources which we talked about, the processor, input-output devices, and memory devices, and resolves the conflict. We learn about what is the conflict means. So when the two or more components or resources, the same resource, competing for the same resource, then conflict arises. The conflict has to be resolved. So that is done by the operating system. We'll understand this one we have next. And tries to optimize the performance of the system and makes the computer to work smoothly and efficiently. And generally part of the operating system, what we have part of the operating system resides in the main memory, so memory of the computers, and supervises the execution of all programs that are executed on the computers. So operating system is also part of the main memory, and it will be taking care of all the programs are executed on the computers, or smoother, and supervises what is needed and when to allocate, when to deallocate, when to provide this, when not to provide this, and who is entering, which program has to be linked, which type of input device has to be connected now, with what type of data has to be connected. So all these things inside the computer has to be, that is supervised by the operating system. So it's also in the main, executing the main program. We have normally the processor and the data input-output devices. So there also it monitors. So it supervises the entire operation. Otherwise, there is a possibility of conflict, and your processor will be busy within a particular program. It will never come back, or your memory is not sending data, or your input device is accepted but it's kept somewhere. So it has to run smoothly. To do this, the operating system monitors or supervises all these things. It plays an important role in loading programs from disk to memory. Loading, that is already I have told, displaying messages if something happens, so some error or something, communicating, displaying the messages, and translating programs and the output results. Sometimes in outputting results, sometimes we need to human understandable form. There also we use sometimes operating system, and basically it executes the user programs without letting the user to bother about the detailed steps involved in the execution them. So normally what happens, so today we see that, so I do not know anything about computers, but still I'm using computers. So that is because of system software, that's because of operating system. So this operating system, what happens means, so it never give an option to know about internal details, how internal components, how they are performing, what are the things, should I give like this. So such internal data processing or instructions or software is hidden from the user. So user is given just input device, keyboard, and monitor output device, and type whatever. So everything is done by the operating system. So that's why the computers are famous. That is because that's the role of operating system. So that's why it does not allow, it's without letting user to bother about the detailed steps, how exactly it takes place inside, no need to worry about them. That's the job of operating system when you are executing them. So that's the reason. That's why many of people, even they do not technically don't know about computers, but still they use computer more efficiently, equivalent to a technical person. That is because of just operating system. There are some example of operating system, that is the Unix operating system. We have a networking, that is a Unix operating system, and we have OS operating system bar2 and Linux operating system, and also we have Sun Solaris. These are all different, but what you are familiar means Windows 10, you will understand. This is a DOS command oriented earlier operating system, Microsoft, and also Microsoft Windows. This is where most of you are familiar with, along with Androids. So operating systems such as Windows 95 are all old one, and we have Windows 10 today. Windows 98, Windows 2, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, and server oriented, Windows 2000 Server, Windows 2000, so Windows 10. So .NET, and also this is also where you are familiar. So this Microsoft Windows 10 and Windows Android, sometimes Mac is also you are familiar. These are the operating systems available. So what is an operating system means? An operating system is a set of programs which acts as an interface between the computer user and the computer. So that could be along with the hardware. You can say computer means computer hardware. So this is system, that's what you can say. An operating system is a system software. That's a set of programs which acts as an interface. Interface means between whom? Between the computer user and the computer hardware. So that is what you can define operating system. Later also we learn more about this operating system. And also we learn different types of operating system. So we'll come to computer languages. So I think we know what is the language means. Why do we need language? Means to express, to communicate. So language is a means of communication. So we have a computer means you want to communicate. You want to tell computer something means. So we need a language, some instruction I have to give to the computers. How do you give the instruction? So there is a necessity of language. So that is what we call as a program, because we give instructions. Instructions are nothing but program. That's why we have a computer languages are nothing but what we call programming languages. There are different types of programming languages. Generally we have languages. Let us learn different types of languages, and we learn advantages, disadvantages, each type of language. So language is a medium of communication, of course. So with language only we are able to communicate. That's now English I'm using, where you are able to understand what I'm saying. This is the communication media. So if you have to communicate with the computer, similar way, the way I'm talking to you, you can understand what I'm saying. Similarly, if I say something to the computer means we need some language. So if you want to communicate with the computers, we require a suitable language, understandable by the computer. That's also important. So if I speak in Spanish, it's of no use. You will not understand. But maybe I'm talking computer science only, but you will not understand. In similar way, if you want to talk with or communicate with computer means we require suitable language that is understandable by the computer. Such language is called as a programming language or computer language. I think you have understood, very simple. So using programming language, user instruct the computer what it should do. See, if I want to read this textbook, I'm telling, so now I use the word English. Similarly, what you have to do, the computer, you want to do something means you have to give some instruction to the computer means using the programming language or computer language, we tell the computer, we instruct the computer what it should do and how it should do. All those things we give mathematical. That's a program. Using this language, we give a mathematical, we'll learn, understand. When you write programs, you'll understand. After writing programs, once again you read these things, it will be much clearer example. That's why it's a very interesting, and you have to follow exactly with the imagination. That's what I said. I want to communicate with you means we need a language. That's why how beautifully they have written here. Language is a medium of communication, of course. So similarly, if we have to communicate with the computer, yes. So we require a suitable language, not just a language. We need a suitable language, understandable by the computer, correct? Yeah. So such language is called as a programming language or computer language. So using this programming languages, user can instruct the computer what it should do, how it should do. That's what we learn. Once you learn the program, then you will understand. Like we learn programming language C++, they will understand how computer can perform tasks and how you can carry out any according to instruction given by you. But we follow the syntax of the language and we write some programs. That is, we also will understand. What is programming language? So programming language is a set of rules. We call this a syntax, grammatical rules. We have to follow the grammar. Like we have English means I cannot speak simply some words and some combination. There is some grammatical way, grammatical rules to be followed. So in the similar way, there is a grammatical rules to be followed when you are writing computer program, which user has to follow. The same thing to instruct the computer. So to communicate with you, I follow English according to the grammatical rules. In similar way, a computer to communicate with the computers, there is some set of rules. We have to follow these rules in order to instruct the computers what operation are to be performed. That is something about programming language. Now we'll learn about this programming language. We'll be learning C++ is a programming language. So these things becomes, you'll understand very clearly. So very simple, not difficult at all. So now let comes to the different types of languages, how computer languages can be classified. So there we have two categories. One is called low-level languages. So another is high-level language. In low level language, there are two things. One is a machine language, already I told something about this, and then we have a assembly level language, and we have two things, general purpose and specific purpose languages. We learn all those things like specific, general purpose means any programming language like Pascal, C, C++, Java, they are all general purpose. What is a specific means? They are used only for that purpose, like COBOL, it's for common business oriented language, only for business application, business purpose. Fortran means for scientific application, formula translations, and C++ is specific for object oriented programming language. That's, we will learn about all those things in the future. So now learn basically two types. One is machine level language, so another is assembly level language. Let us learn about what is a machine level language and what are the operation, what are its advantages and disadvantages. Already we know about why it is a machine language means, machine computers we have a hardware. So all are bistable devices, electronic devices, they are two-state bistable devices, you might have studied in physics, electronic components. So there what happens means they works with voltage levels, high and low voltage. So this is what, using this high and low voltage, I may use some notation like in the form high voltage means it's 1, low voltage means it is 0. So using these combinations, we make the hardware component exactly work in that pattern. You will understand when you learn digital electronics in computer science, but right now just get an introduction. If you want to do some operation means some device, there are many electronic components put together. So there is one should be high, one should be low, one should be some. So that combination means it is storing, retaining, memory flip-flops we discuss. Or maybe some calculators, we have a calculating device like arithmetical logical unit, there is an adder. There is some combinations, we use circuits. I think you will understand when you learn, go for higher studies. So this is, that's why. So machine, let us go with this according to the prescribed syllabus for you. So machine language is the only language of the system, and these are a sequence of machine instructions. So these instructions are represented externally for us, represented as a sequence of zeros and ones. You can see here machine level language is the only language of the computer system, and these sequence of machine instructions, these are the sequence of machine instructions, and these instructions are externally represented for us as a sequence of zeros and ones, and stored internally as a sequence of high voltage and low voltage. That's what in a primary memory RAM. As a general programmer, come across many difficulties. So if you are using like this as a general programmer, I'm not a specific programmer, but general programmer, come across many difficulties. Of course, it is going to be difficult because for every combination you have to remember zeros and ones. Every operations, every task you are going to do, writing means everything should be in the form of zeros and one, and also it is machine dependent, and it's very difficult to remember. It keeps changing for each machine's programs, and the entire code has to be remembered in the form of zeros and ones is going to be very difficult. That's what. Such as remembering such a large sequence of zeros and ones. Simple example is there, but this is not, but programs means it's much bigger, thousands of lines like this. It's very difficult, which is very difficult to remember. One, it's very difficult to program. Remembering is difficult, and also typing, remembering because of I want to write the program. That program writing becomes difficult. So once the program writing is difficult means testing, identifying error becomes very difficult. And debugging, removing that error is also becomes further difficult, and requires a lot of experience because we don't know where is the error. Because only combination, everything looks like correct, but you need a lot of experience and also knowledge about the internal architecture of the system. If you do not know anything about the hardware components you are using and their architecture, internal architecture of the computers, then it's very difficult for you to identify. That's for a general programmer, it becomes very difficult. In spite of all these difficulties, disadvantages, it is executed fastest because there is no translation. This is directly operating on a hardware, so hence they are executed much faster, and we can program each bits and bytes because there is nothing, only in the form of machine code, zeros and ones. That's high voltage and low voltage you are doing, so when there is no translation, immediately it is executed. Only thing is the fastest. There are so many other disadvantages. Even you are using high level language, it has to be done in a machine level language. For that purpose, this you cannot replace, but you can use other methods, convenient method. So let us take a simple example. How is machine level language? Like you want to input data means load the data to the memory means this is the first 4 bits represents opcode, operation, what you are doing. The remaining 8 bits represents the operands. So whenever like operator and operands. So this becomes operation, what you are performing, this becomes a operand. So exactly, so this is loading, this combination 001, this 0100 is add the content, this is like adding. So this operand will be added, these two, whatever you are representing. Simple example I am giving, this is 100 combination is to store, and this is data is going to be stored. So this is a simple example, and you have to remember all these things too. I am just input, add and store. Only for this three, it's like this you have to remember. And this is mission dependent. So the same code may not be used for other purpose like stop. Other missions, this pattern may change. So again, if you have learned for one architecture, one computer hardware, or that's a mission level code, this may not be the same for other computer because that's architecture, that components is different. So hence this pattern cannot be used. So that's why it was a difficult. It's a mission dependent and not portable. You cannot use the same program on all the computers. These are the difficulties. You can see the first, I already told about, the first 4 bits represents the operation or opcode, denoting the operation, what operation is performing. See, it's identifying actions such as like load input, load to the main memory, sometimes move, sometimes add, sub, something we'll discuss all this. Any operations, arithmetic operations we are doing. And last 8 digits or 8 bits of computers represents the operand, like operands, denoting the address where the operands are available and which memory you are doing. So this is something about a machine level language. There are some advantages of machine level language. So what are the advantages of machine level language? Machine level languages or the instruction can be directly typed and executed and no compilation or translation is required. So that's one of the most important, and they're much faster, because faster means they required no compilation or no translation. So direct instruction can be typed and executed. So that is the advantage. What's the disadvantages? There are many disadvantages. Machine level languages or machine language instructions are machine dependent. As I told, the same pattern does not work with another computer, other machine. That may be different. And difficult to program. Remembering this, and it is difficult to program. Once it is difficult to programming means identifying error is difficult, and modifying this program becomes difficult. Modifying, identifying, testing and debugging errors, looking for errors is also difficult. So these are the drawbacks of a machine level language. I think you have understood what is a machine level language and what are the advantages. There is only one advantage, and also the disadvantages. Okay, I'll stop this only, because otherwise we'll get confused with other things. We'll continue in the next class. I hope you understood, and read the textbooks, and also last chapter assignment, write it in the white sheets, papers, and then pin it or write it in the 200-page notebook also. It's very important to write the answer, 1 marks questions, 2 marks questions, and 3 marks or 5 marks questions. Okay, we'll continue next class.